The cafeteria on Orbital Station 7 was always busy during the lunch hour. Hundreds of different species sat at long metal tables, eating food from dozens of different worlds. The air was filled with strange smells and the sound of many languages being spoken at once. Taeho sat at a small table in the corner with his daughter Yuna. She was 7 years old, with short black hair and bright, curious eyes. In front of them were 2 bowls of rice and some grilled meat that Taeho had bought from a human food vendor. "Eat slowly," Taeho said to his daughter. "We have time." Yuna nodded and picked up her spoon. She looked around the cafeteria with wonder in her eyes. Even after 3 months of living on the station, she still found everything amazing. There were tall blue aliens with 4 arms. There were small, furry creatures that walked on 6 legs. There were beings made of what looked like living stone. Taeho watched his daughter with a tired smile. Being a single father was hard. Being a single father on a space station far from Earth was even harder, but he had taken this job as a maintenance worker because it paid well. He needed the money to give Yuna a good life. "Appa," Yuna said, using the Korean word for father. "Why does that girl keep looking at us?" Taeho turned his head slowly. Near the entrance of the cafeteria, he saw a young alien girl standing alone. She was holding a small tray with almost nothing on it. Just a piece of bread and a cup of water. The girl was from a species Taeho did not recognize. She had pale, purple skin and large golden eyes. Her hair was white and fell past her shoulders. She looked young, maybe around Yuna's age in human years. But the thing that Taeho noticed most was that she only had 1 leg. Her left leg was missing from the knee down. She balanced carefully on a simple metal crutch. The girl was looking at their table. No, Taeho realized. She was looking at all the tables. Every table in the cafeteria was full or nearly full, and every time she took a step toward a table, the aliens sitting there would look away or shake their heads. Taeho felt something twist in his chest. He had seen this before. Some species on the station did not like others. There were old wars, old hatreds, old fears. This girl clearly belonged to a species that others did not want to be near. "She has no place to sit," Yuna said softly. "That is sad." "Yes," Taeho agreed. "It is." He watched as the girl tried 2 more tables. At the first one, a group of large, reptile-like aliens simply ignored her. At the second one, a bird-like creature actually stood up and walked away when she approached. The girl stopped in the middle of the cafeteria. Her shoulders dropped. She looked down at her small tray of food with eyes that held no hope. Taeho could see that she was used to this. This was not new pain for her. This was old pain that had happened many times before. "Appa," Yuna said. "Can we help her?" Taeho looked at his daughter. Sometimes children understood things better than adults. They had not yet learned to be afraid of things that were different. "Yes," he said. "We can." He raised his hand and waved at the girl. She did not see him at first. He waved again. Bigger this time. Finally, her golden eyes found him. She looked confused. She looked behind her, thinking he must be waving at someone else. Taeho pointed at the empty chair at their table. Then he pointed at her. Then at the chair again. The girl stood very still. She did not move for a long moment. Taeho could see the fear on her face. She was afraid this was some kind of trick. She was afraid he would laugh at her or send her away like all the others. But Yuna smiled at her. It was a big, warm, innocent smile. The kind of smile that only a child could give. The girl took 1 step forward, then another. She moved slowly on her crutch, being careful not to fall. The walk across the cafeteria seemed to take forever. Many aliens turned to watch. Some of them whispered to each other. Taeho could feel their stares, but he did not care. Finally, the girl reached their table. She stood there, holding her tray with shaking hands. Up close, Taeho could see how thin she was. Her clothes were old and did not fit well. There were dark circles under her golden eyes. "Can I share this table?" she asked. Her voice was small and quiet. She spoke in the common galactic language that most species used on the station. Teho smiled at her. It was a gentle smile. The same smile he gave Yuna when she was scared of the dark. "Of course you can," he said. He stood up and pulled out the empty chair for her. The girl's eyes went wide. She looked at the chair, then at Teho, then at Yuna. She seemed to be waiting for something bad to happen. When nothing bad happened, she slowly sat down. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you very much." "You are welcome," Teho said, sitting back down. "I am Teho. This is my daughter, Yuna." "Hello," Yuna said happily. "What is your name?" The girl looked at Yuna with those big golden eyes. "I am Lyra," she said. "Lyra," Yuna repeated. "That is a pretty name. I like it." For the first time, a tiny smile appeared on Lyra's face. It was a small thing, barely there, but it was real. "Thank you," Lyra said again. She looked down at her tray. Just bread and water, nothing more. Teho looked at the food in front of him and Yuna. They had rice, meat, and some vegetables. More than enough for 2 people. He picked up his chopsticks and put some meat onto a clean napkin. "Here," he said, sliding it toward Lyra. "Please eat this too." Lyra's eyes grew even wider. "No, I cannot. That is your food. I cannot take it." "We have plenty," Teho said. "And you look hungry. Please." Lyra looked at the meat like it was treasure. Her hands shook as she reached for it. "Why are you being kind to me?" she asked. "You do not know me. You do not know my people. Most species here hate us." "I do not hate anyone," Teho said simply. "And you are a child who is hungry. That is all I need to know." Yuna picked up a piece of vegetable with her small fingers and held it out to Lyra. "You can have this too," she said. "I do not like vegetables very much anyway." Teho laughed softly. "Yuna, you should eat your vegetables." "But she needs them more, Appa," Yuna said with serious eyes. Lyra looked back and forth between the father and daughter. Slowly, tears began to form in her golden eyes. She tried to stop them, but they fell anyway, rolling down her purple cheeks. "I am sorry," she said, wiping her face. "I am sorry. I do not know why I am crying. You are just being nice. I do not know why that makes me cry." Teho felt his heart hurt. This girl had been alone for so long that simple kindness made her weep. "It is okay to cry," he said gently. "Crying is not weakness. It means you feel things. That is good." Lyra wiped her eyes again and looked at Teho with something new in her gaze. It was not just surprise anymore. It was wonder. Like she was seeing something she had never seen before. "You are human," she said. "I have heard stories about humans. But I did not believe them. I have heard stories." "What kind of stories?" Yuna asked curiously. "Stories that say humans are different," Lyra said. "That they help strangers. That they care about creatures who are not their own kind. I thought they were just stories. I did not think they were true." Teho smiled sadly. "We are not perfect," he said. "Humans have done bad things too. But I try to be good. I try to teach Yuna to be good. That is all anyone can do." Lyra nodded slowly. She picked up the piece of meat and took a small bite. Her eyes closed. And for a moment, she looked peaceful. "This is delicious," she said softly. "I have not had real food in a long time." Teho said nothing. He just put more food on the napkin in front of her. Beside him, Yuna did the same, sharing her rice without being asked. Around them, the cafeteria continued its noise. Aliens talked and ate and moved around. But at their small table in the corner, something quiet and important was happening. A human father and his daughter were sharing their meal with a lonely alien girl. It was a small thing, but sometimes, small things can change everything. Lyra ate slowly, savoring every bite. And for the first time in a very long time, she did not feel alone. The meal lasted longer than Teho had planned. He did not mind. He had nowhere important to be, and watching Lyra eat was worth being late for anything. She ate slowly, carefully, like she was afraid the food would disappear if she moved too fast. Every few bites, she would look up at Taeho and Yuna, as if making sure they were still there. As if making sure this was not a dream. "When did you last eat a full meal?" Taeho asked gently. Lyra thought for a moment. 3 days ago. Maybe 4. I found some food that a vendor threw away. It was old but still good enough to eat. Yuna's eyes went wide with shock. "You eat garbage?" "Yuna," Taeho said softly. "Be kind." "No, she is right," Lyra said. She did not seem upset by the question. "I eat what I can find. The station gives me bread and water because I am a child with no parents. But that is all. They say I am lucky to get even that." Taeho felt anger rise in his chest. He pushed it down. Getting angry would not help this girl. "Where are your parents?" he asked. "Where is your family?" Lyra stopped eating. She put down the piece of meat in her hand and looked at the table. For a long moment, she said nothing. The noise of the cafeteria seemed to fade away. "Dead," she finally said. "All dead." Yuna reached out and put her small hand on Lyra's arm. She did not say anything. She just touched her, letting her know she was not alone. "I am sorry," Taeho said. "You do not have to talk about it if you do not want to." "No," Lyra said. She looked up, and her golden eyes were sad, but steady. "I want to tell you. You have been kind to me. You deserve to know who you are being kind to." She took a deep breath and began to speak. "My people are called the Valori. We come from a small planet called Valar. It was a beautiful world. Green forests, blue oceans, purple mountains. I was born there. I grew up there. I was happy." She paused, her eyes looking at something far away. Something that existed only in her memory now. Then the war came. The Dominion decided they wanted our planet. We had minerals they needed, resources they wanted. They asked us to give them everything. When we said no, they attacked. Taeho had heard of the Dominion. They were a group of powerful species that controlled a large part of the galaxy. They took what they wanted and destroyed anyone who tried to stop them. "The war lasted 2 years, Lyra continued. "My father was a soldier. He died in the first year. My mother tried to keep us safe. Me and my 2 brothers. She hid us in the mountains while the cities burned." Yuna was holding Lyra's arm with both hands now. Her young face was filled with sadness. She did not fully understand everything, but she understood enough. "One day, the Dominion found our hiding place. They sent soldiers. My mother told us to run. She stayed behind to fight them, to give us time to escape." Lyra's voice broke a little. She stopped and breathed deeply. "We ran. Me and my brothers. We ran through the forest as fast as we could. But the soldiers had machines. Flying machines with guns. They found us." She looked down at where her left leg should have been. "A blast hit me. I fell. I could not get up. My brothers tried to carry me, but I was too heavy. I told them to leave me, to save themselves. They did not want to go, but I screamed at them. I told them to run." Tears were flowing down Yuna's cheeks now. Taeho felt his own eyes growing wet. "They ran," Lyra said. "I do not know if they survived. I hope they did. I never saw them again. I lay there in the forest, bleeding, waiting to die. But the soldiers did not come back for me. Maybe they thought I was already dead. Maybe they did not care about one small girl." "How did you survive?" Taeho asked quietly. "A rescue ship found me 2 days later. Volunteers from neutral planets who were helping refugees. They took me to a medical station. The doctors saved my life, but they could not save my leg. There was too much damage." She touched the place where her leg ended, just above where her knee should have been. "After I healed, they sent me here. Orbital Station 7. They said I would be safe here. They said I could start a new life, but they did not tell me what that life would be like." Lyra laughed bitterly. It was a sad sound. "The Dominion has many allies. Many species here hate the Valori, because we fought against the Dominion and lost. They see us as troublemakers. As people who brought war to the galaxy, no one wants to help us. No one wants to be near us. That is not fair, Yuna said fiercely. You did not do anything wrong. You were just trying to protect your home. Lyra smiled at the little girl. You are kind, she said. But fairness is not something that exists in this galaxy. I learned that a long time ago. Tejo sat back in his chair. He thought about everything Lyra had said. This girl had lost everything. Her planet, her family, her leg. She was alone in a universe that did not want her. And she was still standing, still surviving, still hoping enough to ask if she could share a table with strangers. How old are you? He asked. In your human years, I would be about 8, Lyra said. I am a child. But I do not feel like one anymore. 8 years old. The same age as Yuna would be next year. Tejo looked at his daughter. Safe and healthy and loved. Then he looked at Lyra, hungry and alone and forgotten. Where do you sleep? He asked. Lyra shrugged. Different places. There is a maintenance area on level 12. The workers there do not chase me away. It is warm enough. And sometimes they give me extra bread. You sleep in a maintenance area? Yuna said with horror. But that is not a home. You need a real bed, a real room. Beds and rooms cost money, Lyra said simply. I have no money. I have nothing. Tejo made a decision. It was not a smart decision. It was not a safe decision. But it was the right decision. He could feel it in his heart. You will come with us tonight, he said. Lyra looked at him with shock. What? Our apartment is small, but we have space. Yuna has her own room. I sleep on the couch most nights anyway. You can have the couch. Or we can find another way, but you are not sleeping in a maintenance area tonight. Lyra shook her head quickly. No. No. I cannot. You do not owe me anything. You already gave me food. That is more than anyone has given me in months. I cannot take more. Quote, You are not taking, Tejo said firmly. I am offering. There is a difference. But why? Lyra asked. Her voice was desperate, confused. Why would you do this? You just met me. You know nothing about me except that I am Valori. My people are hated. If others see you helping me, they will hate you too. Tejo leaned forward and looked directly into her golden eyes. Let me tell you something about humans, he said. We are stubborn creatures. When we see something wrong, we want to fix it. When we see someone hurting, we want to help. It does not matter if that person is human or alien. It does not matter if helping them makes our lives harder. We help anyway. Because that is who we are. Lyra stared at him. Her mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. My Appa is the best, Yuna said proudly. He always helps people. One time, he found a lost animal on the station and spent 3 hours finding its owner. He missed his favorite show on the screen, but he did not care. Tejo laughed softly. That is true. I did miss my show. Lyra looked back and forth between them. The father who helped lost animals. The daughter who shared her vegetables. These humans made no sense to her. But for the first time in a long time, she felt something warm in her chest. Something she had forgotten she could feel. Hope. Are you sure? She asked in a tiny voice. Are you really sure? Tejo stood up and held out his hand to her. I am sure, he said. Now come on. Let us go home. Lyra looked at his hand. It was a human hand, strange and different from her own. But it was also kind. It was reaching out to her when no one else would. Slowly, carefully, she took it. Yuna cheered and clapped her hands. You are coming home with us. This is the best day ever. I can show you my toys and my books and my drawings. Lyra could not help it. Despite everything, despite all the pain and all the loss, she smiled. A real smile. The first real smile in a very long time. Okay, she said softly. I will come with you. Tejo helped her stand up, making sure she was steady on her crutch. Together, The three of them walked out of the cafeteria. They passed dozens of aliens, who watched them with curious or unfriendly eyes. Taeho did not look at any of them. He just kept walking, his daughter on one side and Lyra on the other. Outside, the station corridors were bright and busy. Ships flew past the windows, coming and going from distant worlds. Somewhere out there, Lyra's home planet was burning. Her family was gone. Her people were scattered across the stars. But right now, in this moment, a human man and his daughter were taking her to their home. They were offering her food and shelter and kindness. It was not much. It was just a small apartment on a space station. But to Lyra, it felt like everything. The apartment was small, just like Taeho had said. One bedroom, one bathroom, a tiny kitchen, and a living area with a worn couch. But to Lyra, it looked like a palace. There were pictures on the walls, drawings that Yuna had made with colored pencils. There was a soft rug on the floor. There were blankets on the couch that looked warm and comfortable. Everything was clean and organized. "It is not much," Taeho said, watching Lyra look around. "But it is home. It is beautiful," Lyra whispered. "I have not been inside a real home in so long." Yuna grabbed Lyra's hand and pulled her toward the bedroom. "Come see my room. I want to show you everything." Taeho smiled and let them go. He could hear Yuna's excited voice explaining every toy, every book, every drawing on her wall, and he could hear Lyra's quiet responses, full of wonder at things that Yuna thought were normal. He went to the kitchen and started preparing dinner. Real dinner. Not just the small portions from the cafeteria. Rice, vegetables, soup, and some fish he had been saving for a special occasion. Tonight seemed special enough. As he cooked, he thought about what he was doing. He had just brought a stranger into his home, an alien child from a species that most of the station hated. There could be problems. People might talk. His boss might hear rumors. His life could become more difficult. But when he thought about Lyra's golden eyes filled with tears at simple kindness, none of that mattered. Some things were more important than an easy life. "Appa," Yuna called from the bedroom. "Lyra says she never had a doll before. Can I give her one of mine?" "That is very kind, Yuna," Taeho called back. "But ask Lyra what she wants. Do not just give her things." A moment later, Yuna came running out with Lyra following slowly on her crutch. She said yes. She wants the purple one because it matches her skin. Lyra was holding a small purple doll in her free hand. She was looking at it like it was the most precious thing in the universe. "Thank you," she said to Yuna. "Thank you so much. I will take good care of it." Taeho felt his heart swell. His daughter was good. Despite all the challenges of raising her alone, despite all the mistakes he had made, Yuna was good. "Dinner will be ready soon," he said. "Lyra, you can sit on the couch and rest. Yuna, come help me set the table." They ate dinner together at the small table in the kitchen. Lyra ate more slowly this time, savoring every bite. She was learning that the food would not be taken away, that there was enough, that she could relax. After dinner, Taeho gave Lyra some clean clothes. They were Yuna's, but Yuna was tall for her age, and the clothes fit Lyra well enough. Then he showed her how to use the bathroom, where everything was, and how to call for help if she needed anything during the night. "You can sleep on the couch," he said. "I put extra blankets there. It is comfortable. I sleep there sometimes when Yuna has bad dreams and needs her own space." Lyra touched the blankets with trembling hands. "This is too much," she said. "You are giving me too much." "It is not too much," Taeho said firmly. "It is what you deserve. Every child deserves a warm place to sleep. Every child deserves food and safety. You are no different." Lyra looked up at him with those golden eyes. "On my world," she said slowly, "we had stories about beings who helped the lost and the broken. We called them guardians, protectors sent by the universe to watch over those in need. I always thought they were just stories." Taeho knelt down so he was at her eye level. "I am not a guardian," he said. I am just a man. A father. I make mistakes. I get tired. I get scared. But I try my best to do what is right. That is all. That is more than most, Lyra said. Tejo smiled and stood up. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we can talk about what comes next. But tonight, just rest. You are safe here. He went to his daughter's room to say goodnight. Yuna was already in bed, but her eyes were wide open with excitement. Appa, is Lyra going to stay with us forever? She asked. I do not know yet, Tejo said honestly. We will have to see. There are rules on the station about children and guardians. It is complicated. I want her to stay, Yuna said firmly. She is my friend now. I do not want her to go back to the maintenance area. Tejo kissed his daughter on the forehead. I do not want that either. We will figure it out. I promise. Okay, Yuna said, finally closing her eyes. Good night, Appa. Good night, my little star. Tejo turned off the light and went back to the living area. Lyra was lying on the couch under the blankets. She looked so small, so fragile. But her eyes were open. Watching him. You should sleep, he said. I am trying, she said. But it is strange. The couch is so soft. The blankets are so warm. I keep thinking I will wake up and be back in the maintenance area. That this was all a dream. Tejo sat in the chair across from her. It is not a dream. You are really here. And you can stay as long as you need to. Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, what happened to Yuna's mother? Quote, the question hit Tejo like a punch to the chest. He did not talk about this often. But Lyra had shared her story with him. It seemed fair to share his. She died, he said. 3 years ago. There was an accident at the factory where she worked. A machine broke down. She was trying to fix it when it exploded. I am sorry, Lyra said softly. After she died, I did not know what to do, Tejo continued. Yuna was only 4 years old. I was lost. Broken. I wanted to give up. But every time I looked at Yuna, I knew I could not. She needed me. So I kept going. I found work on this station. I made a new life for us. It is not the life I imagined, but it is a good life. Lyra nodded slowly. You understand loss, she said. That is why you helped me. You know what it feels like to lose everything. Maybe, Tejo said. Or maybe I am just stubborn. Humans are very stubborn. Lyra almost smiled. I am starting to understand that. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. The hum of the station's systems was soft in the background. Outside the window, stars shone in the endless black of space. Tejo, Lyra said finally, thank you. Not just for the food and the bed. Thank you for seeing me. Most people look at me and see a Valori, a refugee. A problem. You looked at me and saw a child who needed help. That means more than you know. Tejo felt his eyes grow wet again. He blinked the tears away. You are welcome, he said. Now please try to sleep. Tomorrow will be a busy day. Lyra nodded and closed her eyes. Within minutes, her breathing became slow and even. She was asleep. Real sleep. Not the light nervous rest she had learned to take in unsafe places. Tejo watched her for a moment longer. This girl had lost everything. Her home, her family, her leg. But she was still here, still fighting, still hoping. Humans were not the only stubborn ones in the galaxy. He got up quietly and went to the window. He looked out at the stars and thought about the future. Taking care of Lyra would not be easy. There would be paperwork, questions, problems with the station authorities. Some people would think he was crazy. Some people would try to stop him. But Tejo had made his decision. This girl needed help, and he was going to help her. Not because it was easy, not because it made sense, but because it was right. In the reflection of the window, he could see Lyra sleeping peacefully on the couch. And next to her reflection, he could almost see his wife, smiling at him with approval. "I am trying to be good," he whispered to her ghost. "I am trying to make you proud." The stars did not answer, but somehow, Taeho felt that she had heard him. He turned away from the window and went to check on Yuna one more time. She was sleeping soundly, a small smile on her face, dreaming of her new friend. Probably, Taeho smiled too. His apartment was fuller tonight. His responsibilities were heavier. His life was more complicated, but his heart was lighter than it had been in years. He settled into the chair in the living room. He would sleep there tonight, keeping watch over the two girls who now depended on him. It was not comfortable. His back would hurt in the morning, but that was okay. That was more than okay. This was what fathers did. Days turned into weeks. Lyra stayed with Taeho and Yuna, and slowly, she began to change. At first, she was like a scared animal. She ate quickly, always looking over her shoulder. She slept lightly, waking up at every small sound. She flinched when Taeho moved too fast near her. She apologized for everything, even things that were not her fault. But day by day, the fear began to fade. It started with small things. Lyra stopped looking toward the door every few minutes. She started eating at a normal pace. She laughed at one of Yuna's jokes, a real laugh that surprised even her. "I forgot I could laugh like that," she said afterward, touching her throat in wonder. Yuna became Lyra's shadow. Wherever Yuna went, Lyra followed on her crutch. They played games together. They watched shows together on the screen. They drew pictures and built towers out of blocks and had imaginary adventures in Yuna's small bedroom. "You are my sister now," Yuna announced one morning at breakfast. "I decided." Lyra froze with her spoon halfway to her mouth. "What?" "My sister," Yuna repeated matter-of-factly. "I always wanted a sister. And now you are here. So you are my sister." Lyra looked at Taeho with wide eyes. He just smiled and shrugged. "You cannot argue with her when she decides something," he said. "She is very stubborn. She gets it from her mother." Lyra turned back to Yuna. "But we are not the same species. We do not look anything alike. How can I be your sister?" Yuna tilted her head like this was a very strange question. "Sisters do not have to look alike," she said. "Sisters are people who love each other and take care of each other. That is what we do. So, you are my sister." Lyra's golden eyes filled with tears. She tried to hide them, but they fell anyway. "Why are you crying?" Yuna asked with concern. "Did I say something wrong?" "No," Lyra whispered. "You said something very right. I never had a sister before." Yuna grinned. "Well, now you do. And I am the best sister. Appa says so." "I never said that exactly," Taeho said, but he was smiling. That night, Lyra asked Taeho if she could call him something other than his name. She seemed nervous about the question, like she was afraid of being rejected. "What do you want to call me?" Taeho asked. Lyra hesitated. "On my world, we had a word for a man who takes care of children who are not his own. It sounds like Pala. It means protector, guardian, the one who watches over you." Taeho's heart squeezed tight in his chest. "You want to call me Pala?" "Only if you do not mind," Lyra said quickly. "I know you are not really my father. I know this is just temporary. I know you are only helping me until—" "Lyra," Taeho said gently, cutting her off. "You can call me Pala. I would be honored." Lyra's whole face lit up. It was the brightest Taeho had ever seen her look. "Thank you, Pala," she said, testing the word. "Thank you." Yuna clapped her hands. "Now it is like we are a real family. Appa, you have 2 daughters now." Taeho laughed. "I suppose I do." The weeks continued to pass. Taeho helped Lyra get registered properly with the station authorities. It was not easy. There was paperwork. There were interviews. There were officials who looked at Lyra with suspicion because she was Valori. But Taeho did not give up. He argued. He pushed. He filled out every form and answered every question. Finally, after many stressful days, the station granted him temporary guardianship of Lyra. "What does that mean?" Lyra asked when he told her the news. "It means I am officially responsible for you," Taeho explained. "It means you can stay with us legally. It means you are not just a refugee anymore. You are part of a family." Lyra stared at him. "Part of a family?" she repeated slowly, like the words were too big to understand. "Yes," Taeho said, "part of our family." Lyra did something she had never done before. She threw her arms around Taeho and hugged him. Her crutch fell to the floor with a clatter, but she did not care. She just held on tight, her face buried in his chest. Taeho hugged her back. Over her head, he saw Yuna watching them with a huge smile. "Group hug," Yuna shouted, and threw herself at both of them. They stood there together, the three of them, holding on to each other. Taeho could feel Lyra shaking. He could feel the tears soaking through his shirt. But he also felt something else, something warm and strong. Love. After that day, things were different. Better. Lyra started going to school with Yuna. It was hard at first. Some of the other children were afraid of her. Some were mean, but Yuna stayed by her side, defending her against anyone who said bad things. "She is my sister," Yuna would say fiercely. "If you are mean to her, you are mean to me." Slowly, Lyra started to make friends. There were other children who did not care that she was Valori. Children who judged her by her kindness, not her species. She was still quiet and shy, but she was starting to open up. At home, she helped with cooking and cleaning. She was surprisingly good at organizing things. Taeho's apartment had never been so tidy. "You do not have to work so hard," Taeho told her one evening as she folded laundry. "You are a child. You should play and rest." "I want to help," Lyra said. "You do so much for me. I want to do something back." Taeho sat down beside her. "Lyra, listen to me. You do not owe me anything. I did not help you so that you would work for me. I helped you because it was the right thing to do. You do not have to earn your place here. This is your home now. You are part of this family. That is not something you have to pay for." Lyra looked at him with those golden eyes that had seen too much pain for someone so young. "On my old planet," she said, "we had a saying, 'Love is not a debt, but a gift.' I always thought I understood it. But I did not. Not really. Not until I met you." "And Yuna." Taeho smiled and put his hand on her head, a gentle gesture of affection. "That is a beautiful saying, and it is true. Love is a gift, and gifts are meant to be given freely, with no expectation of return." Lyra leaned into his touch, closing her eyes. "Paula," she said softly, "I am glad I asked to share your table that day." "I am glad too," Taeho said. "It was the best thing that happened to us in a long time." That night, Taeho watched his two daughters sleep. Yuna in her bed, Lyra on the couch that had become her place. They were both peaceful, both safe, both loved. He thought about how much his life had changed in just a few weeks. Before Lyra, it had been just him and Yuna against the galaxy. Now they were three. A strange little family that no one would have expected. A human father, a human daughter, and a one-legged Valori girl with golden eyes. It was not normal. It was not what anyone would have planned. But it was good. It was so good. Taeho remembered something his wife used to say. "Family is not about blood. Family is about choice. We choose who we love. We choose who we protect. We choose who we call our own." He had chosen Lyra, and in choosing her, he had gained something precious. Another daughter, another person to love, another light in his life. The galaxy was big and dark and often cruel. But in this small apartment on Orbital Station 7, there was warmth, there was safety, there was love, and for now, that was enough. The day of the official adoption was bright and clear. Well, as bright and clear as any day could be on a space station. The artificial lights were set to their morning mode, warm and golden, filling the corridors with a soft glow. Taeho stood in front of the mirror in the bathroom. adjusting his best shirt. It was the one he had worn to his wife's memorial service 3 years ago. He had not worn it since. But today was a special day. Today deserved his best. "Appa," Yuna called from outside the door. "Lyra says she is nervous. I told her not to be nervous, but she is anyway." Taeho smiled and opened the door. Yuna was wearing a pretty dress that her grandmother had sent from Earth. Beside her, Lyra stood in a new outfit that Taeho had bought for this occasion. It was simple but nice, with colors that matched her purple skin. But what Taeho noticed most was her leg, or rather, her new leg. 2 weeks ago, a kind doctor on the station had offered to give Lyra a prosthetic leg for free. The doctor was human. One of the few who did not care about the politics surrounding the Valori. She had seen Lyra struggling on her crutch and had simply asked if she wanted help. The prosthetic was not fancy. It was a basic model. Functional but plain. But to Lyra, it was a miracle. For the first time in over a year, she could walk without a crutch. She could run. She could dance. She was still learning to use it. Her steps were careful and sometimes unsteady. But she was walking. Really walking. And the joy in her eyes every time she took a step was worth more than any amount of money. "You look beautiful," Taeho told her. "Both of you." Lyra looked down at her new clothes, then at her new leg. "I never thought I would have any of this," she said quietly. "A family. A home. 2 legs again. It feels like a dream." "It is not a dream," Taeho said. "It is real. And after today, it will be official. You will legally be my daughter. No one will be able to take you away. No one will be able to send you back to the maintenance area or to a refugee camp. You will be mine, and I will be yours." Lyra's golden eyes shone with tears she was trying not to shed. "Paula," she whispered. "Thank you. For everything." Taeho knelt down and looked at her at eye level. "You do not have to thank me," he said. "You are my daughter. That is not something I did for you. That is something we became together. A family. And families take care of each other. That is just what we do." Yuna bounced with excitement. Okay, can we go now? I want to see the registry. I want to watch Lyra become my official sister." Taeho laughed and stood up. "Yes, we can go. Let us not keep them waiting." The walk to the registry office took them through the main corridors of the station. Many aliens turned to watch them pass. A human man with 2 girls. 1 human and 1 Valori. It was an unusual sight. Some looked curious. Some looked confused. A few looked hostile. But many more looked at them with something like respect. Something like admiration. Word had spread through the station about the human who had taken in the Valori refugee girl. Not everyone approved, but many did. An old alien with gray skin and kind eyes nodded at Taeho as they passed. "Good man," he said simply. A young mother with her own children waved at Lyra and smiled. A group of workers stopped their conversation to watch. And one of them gave Taeho a thumbs up. A human gesture that had spread across the galaxy. Lyra held Taeho's hand tightly. She was nervous, but she was also proud. For the first time, she did not feel ashamed of who she was. She did not feel like a burden or a problem. She felt like a daughter, like a sister, like part of a family. The registry office was a large room with high ceilings and white walls. Officials from many species worked at desks, processing documents and records. At the front of the room, there was a small stage where official ceremonies were held. Taeho had filled out all the necessary paperwork over the past month. He had answered all the questions, provided all the documents, jumped through all the hoops. Today was just the final step, the official ceremony that would make everything real. An official called their names, and they walked up to the stage. The official was a tall alien with blue skin and a serious face. But when she looked at Lyra, her expression softened. "I have reviewed your application," she said to Taeho. "Everything is in order. Do you understand the responsibilities you are taking on?" "I do," Taeho said. "And you, Lyra," the official said, turning to the girl. "Do you understand what this means? Do you wish to become the legal daughter of this human?" Lyra's voice was steady and clear. "I do. More than anything," the official nodded. She picked up an official seal and pressed it onto a document. "Then, by the authority of the Galactic Union and Orbital Station 7, I declare this adoption complete. Lyra is now legally the daughter of Tae-ho. She will carry his protection and his name. Let no being challenge this bond." Yuna cheered loudly. A few other people in the room clapped. Tae-ho felt tears running down his face, but he did not care. He looked at Lyra, who was crying too, and he opened his arms. She ran to him, actually ran, on her new leg, without tripping or stumbling. She threw herself into his embrace, and he held her tight. "My daughter," he whispered. "My beautiful daughter." "Appa," she said back, using the Korean word that Yuna used. Not Pala anymore, not protector, father. "Appa." Yuna joined the hug, wrapping her arms around both of them. "We did it," she said through her own tears. "We are a real family now. It is official." They stood there for a long moment, the three of them, holding each other on that small stage while the universe moved around them. A human father and his two daughters. One by blood, one by choice, both by love. After the ceremony, they went to the cafeteria to celebrate. The same cafeteria where Lyra had asked if she could share their table all those weeks ago. They sat at the same corner table, and Tae-ho ordered the biggest meal the vendor could make. As they ate, Lyra looked around the cafeteria. Other aliens were still staring. Some were still whispering. But she did not feel afraid anymore. She had a family now. She belonged somewhere. "Appa," she said. "Do you remember when I first came to this table?" "Of course I do," Tae-ho said. "I was so scared," Lyra said. "I thought you would send me away like everyone else. I thought no one would ever want me." Yuna reached over and squeezed her hand. "That is silly," she said. "Everyone should want you. You are the best sister." Lyra smiled. "And you are the best sister too." Tae-ho watched his daughters talk and laugh together. He thought about everything that had led to this moment. The loss of his wife. The hard years raising Yuna alone. The decision to come to this station. The moment when a one-legged alien girl had asked if she could share their table. If any one of those things had been different, they would not be here now. But they were all exactly as they needed to be. Every pain, every struggle, every choice had led them to this family. Around them, the cafeteria buzzed with life. Species from across the galaxy ate and talked and lived their lives. Most of them would never know the story of the human father and his two daughters. Most of them would never understand what had happened at this corner table. But that was okay. The story was not for them. The story was for Tae-ho, Yuna, and Lyra. It was their story. Their family. Their love. And it was just beginning. "Appa," Yuna said suddenly. "Can we get dessert?" Tae-ho laughed. Some things never changed. "Yes," he said. "Today, we can have anything we want." He went to get dessert for his daughters. Both of his daughters. As he walked, he felt lighter than he had in years. The weight he had carried since his wife's death was still there, but it was easier to bear now. He was not carrying it alone anymore. He returned to the table with 3 bowls of something sweet and cold. Yuna grabbed hers immediately. Lyra took hers more carefully, still not quite used to having enough. They ate their dessert together, talking and laughing like any family would. The universe continued to spin around them, vast and dark and full of mysteries. But in that small corner of a cafeteria on Orbital Station 7, there was light, there was love, there was home, and for the small family of a human father and his 2 daughters, that was more than enough. That was everything.